Welcome to Shining the Light. My name is S.E. Waleboa and my guest today is Maxwell Dichi. He's an actor and an entrepreneur. Maxwell, how are you, man?
How are you? How are you?
I want you to introduce yourself. I know that introduction was pretty short, but let's get the ball rolling.
My name is Maxwell Dichi. Right now, mostly known as an actor. I'm focused on film, which is TV production and acting. But before that, I really came off as a multimedia designer, which was inspired by my talent in fine arts. I'm really good at drawing, so now my focus here is on film. I also have a company which does digital marketing. It's called Dichi Media, covers digital marketing and film production.
This is since 2020. And now we're in 2021. Yeah. We have this problem of the pandemic. How have you been, trying to maneuver live in regard to that?
Yeah, luckily for me, as someone who's always been in digital marketing, I've always tried to keep most of my work online. Like online meetings. I've also done that. Always done that. Web design. That's my stuff. So, technological wise, it wasn't hard for me to adjust, and it also gave me a lot of time in terms of writing, clearing my mind and really trying to be as creative as possible. So I don't really take a lot of bad out of it, although it tempered with me traveling, because I travel between Botswana and South Africa regularly. It tempered with that. My recent trip from South Africa, unfortunately, I came back and I tested positive for COVID. So that wasn't a pleasant trip. But nonetheless, look, I believe, I don't think it's always going to be easy. Some years will be better, some years won't be good. But what's important is the lessons you take out of it.
Yeah. And let's digress a little bit. So what are you watching right now? Are you watching anything on Netflix that is sort of kind of,
Yeah.
What are you?
I think my favorite now has been Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is
man, I just watched that the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's taken off August Wilson's playwrights. Same man who wrote Fences.
Yes.
So that's the type of work that really touches me. And seeing Chadwick Boseman's one of his last works was also amazing.
What do you think about his last? What do you think about his last performance? In Ma Rainey. I think he has something coming up again with Disney, but with Ma Rainey.
Yeah, but you can tell that it came from a deep place. You can tell that it came from a deep place, and it's really touching too, because there's in the movie he's given up on God, but I believe at that time in his life he was really closest to God as possible. So to be in a place where you like, where is God in this moment and in my life,
right?
And to apply that to your life, it's really deep. It's really deep. And with what the world is going on now, if a lot of people don't believe God is real.
No, God is real. Yeah. That's our refuge, right?
Yeah, but those are some of the choices we sometimes have to make as actors.
Okay.
The script principle are deeply into God, but the character you play are from God. And that gets to challenge your principles. So you have to find a way to deliver the same belief which that character has. So I could see that challenge.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty deep, man. Those are important things in our lives. Maxwell, you know, I want when people, especially the young ones, when they are watching this interview in the next 5 years, to realize, you know, Maxwell was also a young person like me, you know,
Yeah.
so he's just coming from, yeah, and he's still young though. He's still young. but he's just one of us because I believe in you, Maxwell, that you know you're gonna continue to grow. You see what I'm saying? So
Yes,
those who are coming behind you, I want them to see that you know Maxwell is just one of us. So I want us to go back to your background. You know, tell us where you from. You know, yeah.
Yeah. So no, I'm glad you put it that way. You know, just to talk about my humble beginnings, I grew up in Ramotswa, which is 25 kilometers from Gaborone. And it was a time where, you know, we actually, when I was growing up, we didn't actually have a national TV channel at all. So, you know, the idea of being an actor was so far-fetched that you couldn't even tell anybody about it. I couldn't tell my parents I want to be an actor, but you know, always wanted to be in those movies like Jackie Chan, Kung Fu movies, always wanted to be part of that. And when BTV came up, you know, I realized there were like kid presenters. I wanted to get into that, but still, I didn't have an idea of like what is an audition. You know, I didn't have an idea of how do you get on TV. You know, so this is something that I sort of picked up when I went to college. I started with modeling, and I've been an extra a couple of times, and that gave me an opportunity to see how the industry works. That when I came home, one of my friends approached me and said, "Hey, can you be in a TV commercial?" It's like, yeah, sure, let me do it. I think I still got it. So I went on a TV commercial, and that just, you know, reignited the passion for acting. So yeah, that's how it went about.
Yeah, but you grew up in Ramotswa?
Yes, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
The first time I took a taxi to school was in college, but from primary to high school, it was walking.
And those are the things that I wanted you to touch. So you were working from home to school most of the time, right? So
yeah. But you know, the thing is, there's a beauty in that, because right now, there's stories, so many stories that I want to tell about where I come from and how I grew up. You know. And those are the rural stories aren't told most of the time. Everybody wants to do American stories, you know.
Right.
If you see a high school on TV, it's like American high school. But I want to talk about, you know, boarding school in Ramotswa. You know.
Yeah.
Those are the experiences. Yes.
Were you in or what?
Yeah. When I went to Kaluzu Senior Secondary. So, you know, there's a lot of stories I had from some of my friends who were in boarding school. And the 2 years I've been to high school, you know, there were suicides, you know, students had burnt school dorms. You know, there's so much that we could talk about. So in a way, it's like I really cherish having grown in that environment, you know, even though, yeah, sometimes I have friends who've been to private school, and I'm like, you know, it might have been nice to go to a private school, but I think I was put in that place so that one day I could tell those stories, you know, with the ability that I have.
So while we're still at schools, what do you think about the curriculums that is taught in our public schools?
If it's still the curriculum that I went through, it's definitely behind time. It's definitely behind time.
Okay.
And I don't want to assume it's still there, but I know that a few things have changed. You know, I know that you are an author, and I know that there's some new authors who have their books in schools, which I didn't read those books, but I don't know how the delivery is right now. But I feel like more and more students know they have choices. Like the variety of choices and careers always expands, and therefore the something in the subjects have to change. You know, right now, Botswana has accepted like gay relationships. You know, they've accepted that they've decriminalized being gay. So that's something that, you know, when you talk about sex education, definitely it has to fit in some way. So, you know, our culture has evolved, our careers have evolved. You know, gone are the days where careers were just being either a nurse or a teacher. you know, now these actors, you know, being an actor can be talked about as a career in school.
Right,
so whether they like it or not, the environment has changed. So whether it's in the books or it's not, it's the talk in the classrooms is definitely different to the talk that we were having back when we were in school. You know.
Look, Maxwell. Let's go back to now. We are in Gaborone, right? You're out of you're out of Ramos, right? And now you are in Gaborone. And then I want you to pick it up. I think you went to Joburg for your training, right?
Yeah. So I went to Joburg for, like I said, for multimedia design. Acting for me is self-taught. You know, I read a couple of books for acting when I got more interested in acting. But multimedia covered, you know, web development. It covered visual production, visual effects production. So I know a lot of behind the scenes post-production in terms of film. So yeah, from high school in Ramos, I went straight to Joburg. After college, I came back, worked in Gaborone. And, you know, 8 years later, you know, I got another job back in Joburg. I've never really wanted to stay in Joburg, but it seems the place keeps calling me back. You know, I've always really wanted to come home and do something better, because I believed it's so much easier to stand out in Botswana because there's a few of us. It's a lot harder to stand out in other places where there's a lot more people, a lot more talent. So, you know, there's an opportunity in that way for us to be in Botswana.
Tell us about how you were able to get a part in the Muvango show. I mean,
yeah.
Whenever I have a chance, I go online and watch a couple of those episodes. You know.
I appreciate it.
So I mean, it's not easy to get into those shows, man.
You know, I was asked this question before. Like people always ask, how did you get the part? You know, and it's and to be honest, as an actor, when you go to an audition, you don't think you're going to get the part, because mind you, this audition had more than 2,000 people auditioning. So first of all, when you walk into the room, the minute you walk into an audition room, they already know if you are the guy or you're not the guy before you even audition. Wow. You understand? So you could look the part, but your audition could suck and you could still get the job. Or you could not look the part and really put on a great performance, and people are like, no, he's not the guy. So it's always in the director, in the casting director's, you know, decision to really see if, you know, you're the guy they want to go with. So sometimes we go to a lot of auditions, and you kill the audition, but you don't get the part. If you're not the guy, you're not the guy. You understand? So there's no way I can know how I got the part. I don't know till today. I don't know what they saw in me. But
so they just looked at you, they liked you pretty much, right? So
actually, I think I did a few lines, and they're like, hey, how do you feel about coming to Joburg, you know, in 2 weeks? I'm ready. Yeah.
And then in the show, your character is Ceres, right? I mean,
yeah.
Can you talk about that character? You know, did you come out with the name Ceres because you said that you?
Yeah. So Ceres is a lawyer who is born and bred in Botswana. So the producer, the creator of the show, Mr. Duman Ndlovu, he came up with the name Ceres because he knows that this Ceres is a powerful name in Botswana. You know, it holds a lot of power. And funny enough, Ceres Akama was actually a lawyer. So you do, or you put those two together. So that's what he came up with the name. The spin that I put onto it was that I'm from Ramos, and my dialect I speak Ka, but
yeah, I was going to ask you about that because you guys.
Yes. So Ceres can only be from Mangwat, you know. So I told the directors that, and then I switched to the dialect Yata for Ceres. That's the only thing. So sometimes people argue because they say I'm from Seroe, and and others like no, he's from Ramos. So yeah, that's the fun fact about the character. But he's a lawyer who knows what he wants, you know, and goes for it, basically.
And then talk to us about how you prepare for a really emotional scene, or maybe I should say, how do you prepare for your character in general? You know, do you?
Yeah. So you know, my technique is similar to, very close to a technique by a man called Sanford Meisner, and his technique is called the Meisner technique. The technique is more about really believing that what you are doing in that moment in the scene is real, as opposed to, you know, method acting whereby, you know, your on-screen mother, when you look at your on-screen mother, you think of your real life mother. So that's another method. So for me, I just prepare. There's a basic preparation for if let's say I'm doing a scene where I'm angry, I think about what angers me before the scene, just to, you know, get myself hyped up. But once I'm in the scene, I really believe I'm in that world, and I just focus on that world. That's how it works. And with practice, once they say they call cut, I'm also out of that world, and I come back to my life.
Wow. Well, I've done a little bit of you know, behind the scene, you know, work, but you know, I know that, you know, to be right in front of the scene can be a little bit, you know, challenging at times. But I've seen you, man. You're doing a marvelous job. So
yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it is. Being behind and being in front is two different things. It's two different, and it's actually challenging when you know a lot of behind the scenes, because you know, there was a time whereby when I'm in front of the camera, I look at what the camera crew's doing, and I can see that these guys are getting the angles wrong. And by doing that, now I'm not focusing on what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
So sometimes knowing too much isn't really good. Ignorance is a bliss.
Right.
You know, it's best to just forget it, trust that everybody's doing a good job, and be an actor for that moment.
Yeah. So you are a lawyer in that show.
Yeah,
you have never been a lawyer. So and part of the question was that, you know, do you have to go and research on, you know, on being a lawyer, on policies and all that kind of stuff?
Look, I think it depends on, it varies from actor to actor on how serious you take the role. You know, funny enough for me, I've wanted to be a lawyer before, I was just discouraged somewhere down the line when I realized you don't stop studying as a lawyer. So I was like, no, I can't do that. So when I got the role, I just did, a few basics of law. And what I would do, I would read the South African laws focused on the case. So say my character is doing a divorce case. I look at the divorce laws for South Africa so that when I talk about it, it just seems like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Have you looked at your performance and you were like, man, I could have done better?
Yeah, I've looked at a lot of my performances.
I know some actors who say, no, I don't go back and watch, so
yeah.
When I'm done, I'm done, so.
I'm still fresh. So, I check my scenes out. And the funny thing is, sometimes you really believe you have killed the scene, like you were on it. And it just comes out like basic. And then sometimes you feel like you haven't done enough, but it comes out spectacular, But there's a thing they say about acting, that when you're acting, you shouldn't watch yourself. Like in the moment, don't watch yourself. You need to forget it. And once you're done, you need to forget about what you've done. Because if you watch yourself, you become your own spectator and you become too self-cautious. You understand? So, I mean, the other thing is, it's just like the way you see yourself in the mirror isn't actually the way everybody else sees you. So you might look at yourself, but the way you see yourself is not how people see you. You just leave it to the audience as best as possible. But yeah, I do check out my scenes.
And so after the pandemic, you guys gonna have to go back and continue with the show. How does it work? Because right now you guys are not shooting right now, right?
The soapies are still shooting. They're still shooting. They were, I think, the first lockdown. Yeah, they were shut down. When I was there, which, like I said, I was there about 3 months ago. There was a period where COVID was really disturbing. So it was on and off. It was very inconsistent. When I was there, the Friday after I shot, the following week they shut down because of a suspected case. So, based on those uncertainties and inconsistencies, I focused on coming back home because my family is here. Most of my life is here. So I haven't gone back in, 3 to 4 months. But yeah, my colleagues, they're still at work right now.
I want you to contrast between the two cities, between Gaborone and Johannesburg, right? Like the type of life that are you guys shooting? Are you guys in Johannesburg when you're in South Africa?
Yes, in Johannesburg, we're at SABC Studios.
Yeah, sometimes we hear that, hey, man, South Africa can be a difficult place because of things like xenophobia and all that kind of stuff,
Yes. Yeah.
Somebody coming from outside like you, even though you are in Botswana, I'm pretty sure there are more Tswana speaking people in South Africa than in Botswana anyways, right?
Okay. Fortunately, in my work now, I've never really experienced that discrimination. But when the xenophobia actually happened, I was in college at the time, so I can talk about that.
Okay.
But my issue has always been the segregation in South Africa. Coming from Botswana, where people are a lot more united. In Botswana, there's nothing like, because you are a Molete, I'm expecting you to behave like this. Because you are Mongwato, I'm expecting you. It's not much of that. But in South Africa, somebody can tell you that I am of this culture, therefore I am entitled to behave like this, or I'm expected to be this way. You understand? So I wish that people could really you know, be yourself, be you because of you, be a good person because you are a good person, not because of what culture dictates you should be, you know. So there's, and people in South Africa, they tend to be more interested on, you know, what are you? You know, are you Tswana? Are you Pedi? You know, they really, it's the first thing. It's at the top of the list before they can say, you know, are you kind? You know, are you good? Are you bad? You know, what's your personality? You know, so and you know, unfortunately, the segregation is also still a bit evident in terms of infrastructure. Like, you know, there are neighborhoods where there's certain, you know, these neighborhoods for colors, there's neighborhoods for whites, there's neighborhood for blacks. So unfortunately, but with time, I think it's changing. You know, with time it's changing. But yeah, if there's been people who have issues with me as a Motswana being in South Africa, they haven't really come directly to me. So I haven't been put in a position where I had to address that.
Right.
But at the same time, look, Africa has become more united, you know. Of course, some people will still be ignorant, but there are South Africans in Botswana as much as there's Botswana in South Africa. You know, there's Zimbabweans in Botswana as much as there's Botswana in Zimbabwe. You know, and some people, some countries intermarry. So, you know, we're all one at the end. You know, whether we like it or not, we're all one African nation.
Right. Well, thank you for that insight, my brother. Let's talk about the creative arts in your own country, Botswana. What's going on right now? You know, are we getting there? Are we getting enough support? You know, I know there's talent, right?
Yeah, there's lots of, Botswana has a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And with this pandemic, a lot of people have been glued online. And online has given people an opportunity to get recognized worldwide. You know, when you talk about the likes of William Lust, comedians getting recognition from as far as America, you know, because of online. A lot of creatives are doing more online, and that's giving them, you know, that breaks borders. You know, musicians are getting recognized. The guy in South Africa did Master KG, he did Jerusalem. It became the most watched YouTube song. You know, so but in this era also, there's a beauty. The current president now is really interested in creative arts. You know, I was fortunate to be one of the two Botswana who were chosen to go and be do an internship with Steve Harvey's Family Feud. You know, that happened with the current president.
How was it?
It was amazing. It was amazing. You know, and just this week I saw one of the upcoming projects. They're going to be building the first state theater in Botswana. So, you know, talent is getting recognized. Politicians are seeing the importance of talent. And there's a whole time of quarantines and lockdowns, people have been leaning on talent. You know, people have been leaning on online content. There's a lot of platforms coming out to support content. There's a UPIC, which is the Botswana Netflix. You know, there's Botswana Television, and the second channel, Now TV, came up. There's about 2 other independent. So these 5 channels which are platforms.
Maxwell, can you said the number one is the Botswana Television, and then you have the what?
We have Now TV, which is it's another government channel.
Oh, really?
Is under the Minister of Youth. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's that's supposedly the youth channel. So in terms of video content, there's a lot of recognition coming now, and that's what we need. You know, first you need the recognition, and you need to be given that platform to showcase your talent. You know, and this is there's never been a better time to be a creative than now in Botswana. That's what I can say.
So right now, are you working on something related to maybe creating a show or shooting a film or something like that?
Yes. I just shot. We shot something. We shot a show recently, which possibly it will go on. It's a talk show, which will possibly go on YouTube. But before that, I'm also building my own talk show, the Maxwell Dichi show. And yeah, that will come out. We're still deciding on the platform.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about. I was sorry about that. Sorry, because I was going to ask you about, because I saw 2 or 3 episodes. I thought it was really nice. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
I like the setting. I like how you were, presenting yourself. So
I appreciate. So you know what you saw was done without budget. Believe it or not, like 0 budget.
Really?
Yeah, So now we're just trying to seal the deal for the source of funding for the project, and we'll be ready to go. But yeah, we've gotten a lot of support, from Office of the President. We've gotten a lot of support, from just people viewing the show. So yeah, that's something I really want to take my time with, because it has to be next level,
Yeah, no, I think you were pushing it. You're pushing it the right way, man. So, are you planning to put it on television and on other platforms?
Yeah. I want it on predominantly. I want it on Botswana television.
Yeah,
and I want it to be studio based. So I want it to be shot from the Botswana television
studios, right? So no, it's looking pretty good, man. I'm looking forward to seeing that, So, and hopefully BTV will be able to put some of their work online, because we don't normally see some of their work online, So
yeah, they've gotten better at that as well. But there's a lot of things, I think how things work. You really need to push it. I've broken my door in terms of access to studios, and I've had conversations with them around, marketing the TV station and marketing the shows in the TV station. So yeah, there's people who are good listeners there who will give us those opportunities.
Yeah, we want to be able to tell our friends out here, say, hey man, I want you to check this out. So
definitely.
Yeah, no, but I told somebody, a couple people, I'm gonna be interviewing this guy, but this is one of his work, man. He's pretty good, So, but I want you to talk about, before we go further, I want you to talk about the ups and downs of being an actor, because I think that I should have asked you that question before, So, what does it?
It's one of the unpredictable careers, and like quite inconsistent, because you can't always have work as an actor. So you need to have something that's sidelines that, whether you're acting and writing or acting and producing, but you can't constantly be an actor. So that's the downfall of it. How do you find your next project? And how do you make it so good that it gets you other projects? So that's been quite a challenge. And also, choosing which roles, you want to play. I recently got a role for being a gynecologist. and
Okay.
and not a good gynecologist, like a private gynecologist. And yeah, it was good news, but it wasn't good news, So there's challenges. Like I said, there's some roles where challenge your principles, and your principles also get challenged because of finances. I need this job, but this job doesn't feel right. Yeah. So those are some of the challenges. It's a very inconsistent career. So anybody who wants to get into acting, you need to be prepared for like rainy days and like dry days, like really dry days.
So when you were with the feud, the short amount of time that you spent with the feud, did Steve Harvey inspire you?
Yes. So one thing that I really took home was, that for us to achieve something like that in Botswana, we'll need to collaborate, because the production houses here are not big, and for a production like Family Feud or even Mobango, you need a crew of about 100 members at least, from makeup, wardrobe, to like post-production. It's a long series. And I wish we can get to a point where all these small production houses in Botswana can collaborate to come and do something like that. Family Feud was the biggest set I've ever seen,
Wow.
Live, and that's a set that could have cost at least $1 million just to build the set.
Wow.
We don't have that kind of budget. We don't have the kind of audience enough to make a production like that for. So we have to find a way to get to that quality, but also find a way to take out the work to a bigger audience, because our population is only 2 million. And out of 2 million, really, your show can maybe get like 200,000 viewers, which is not enough for TV.
But that's why when we bring some of your expertise in this business, because we know that even though we have about 2.5 million people in Botswana, in Botswana only 200,000 people can view, but also you have in South Africa you have other Tswana speaking people, right? Like
yes, we do, but here's what I can tell you to think about is, if I make a production and take it to South Africa, Botswana is still going to watch it. It's going to be South Africans and Botswana watching it. But if I make a production primarily for Botswana, only Botswana is going to watch it. So the good thing is I can make my show for an international market and still win over the local market.
Right.
So that's the angle we need to take.
Right. I agree.
For as long as we're making content for our market, it's I don't see it growing, honestly.
Right.
Yeah. So we need to collaborate with the outside world. When you talk about language is just language. I can get to South Africa and play a Zulu speaking character. That's just language, and it's there's a fine line there. I can play a Somalian character. I can play any African character I want. You see, but when you talk about quality and skill, that's something else. Funny enough, most people who studied film right now in Botswana studied in South Africa. So, and some studied as far as Australia, So we have international skill. We have international skill as Botswana. So we need to find a way to have to deliver international standards. Yeah,
I like that. That's good. Max, let's talk about the technology. Am I right to say, as Botswana, we are still behind when it comes to innovation and entrepreneurship? Because I'm asking this question because I know you're an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Talk to us about this and how come we don't see thriving startups coming out of Botswana as compared to South Africa and Nigeria or Kenya?
Yeah, but you see, the technology industry is very competitive and it's fast. That's the other thing. It's competitive price-wise, it's competitive skill-wise. You know, some of the syllabus that's taught in our technology schools is still way behind. You know, when you talk about software gets updated on a daily. Books don't get updated on a daily. So right now, like if I talk about software right now, a lot of software business goes to India because of the price and because of the manpower they have. You know, so for as long as that money is going outside, it's going to be hard for local technology companies to compete over that because the salaries here are higher and the skill isn't as good as the one outside. So it's a very tough industry. And then you get companies here getting jobs from government and outsourcing the jobs, you see. So I don't know, it's a very tough one. It's a very tough one, you know. For us to match what the world is doing is going to take some time.
Right. And as far as the Dichi Media is concerned, the company that you run, so why is branding important to businesses? You know, because in one of the interviews that you had, like in a couple weeks ago, you also talked about branding. You know, you talked about the importance of branding, right?
Yes. You know, there was a time when I started the business, actually, a lot of people didn't see a point in advertising.
Yeah.
It was, I'm not being racist, but it was a couple of Indians only see the value in advertising. You know, a lot of people were like, you know, why should I advertise? My business is doing well. You know, we are now at an era where if your business is not online, nobody's going to know your business because people spend most of their time online. Nobody spends that time driving around town looking for a printer shop, you know, or anything. So we've come a long way, and people now understand the value of getting out there, you know, and advertising, and that's better for businesses like us, you know. So I don't think I really have to explain the power of branding because now people know it. If everybody's branding and you are not, you're far behind. There's no two ways about it. It's something that you either do or you don't, and you don't, you know what's going to happen. I'm sounding like I'm sending out death threats.
During this time of the pandemic, how can young Botswana or African entrepreneurs, you know, scale or even pivot or stay relevant to what they are doing? Because this is a tough time.
To be honest,
I see you are doing something because I see that you are pivoting. You know, you are staying relevant. You know, so even though you are not in South Africa shooting, you know, so
yes, but you know, I actually, like, to be honest, with staying relevant, I'm actually trying to take time off right now. One of the things I tried beginning of the year was to get off social media. But that didn't last because, you know, a lot of people want to see me there. But that's a tough question to answer because right now I feel everybody is trying to evolve. Everybody's trying to recreate that vision because we don't know what's coming. We don't know if this this is the new normal, if this new normal is permanent, you know. So the best thing one can do now is introspect and try to recreate whatever your vision is and your methods and your work. So there isn't really, a lot of things are indefinite, you know, uncertain right now. You know, that I don't think there's any business that can tell you this is what you need to do to survive 2021. Nobody knows what's coming. You know, so for me, I'm actually at a place where I'm like, look, I've done TV, I'm doing TV. What's next? You know, what can I do? What's the next best thing for me? You know, I've gotten pretty good highlights in 2019 and 2020, but the what's next question is not easy. You know, it's more about going back, introspect, and just go back to the basics, go back to the drawing board, and see how you can come out better and stronger. And I think the people that are going to come out with newer versions of themselves are the people that are going to thrive. If you're still trying to hold on to the 2019 business or person you were, you're going to have a tough time.
You're saying a lot of wisdom. Who's your mentor? And
I've tried to pick, you know, I've never really actually tried to pick out a mentor. Although, you know, I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of reading in terms of books, personal development. You know, I do a lot of that, and that really started, I would say, maybe 4 years ago when I quit my job. Right after I quit my job. So luckily I've had good friends. You know, I've met a lot of great people along the way who I look up to, but I haven't been fortunate enough to have somebody devote the attention to me as a mentor. You know, and I'm still looking out for that person and a couple of mentors. And I'm also realizing, you know, you need a mentor not just in business, in your personal life, you know, in your marriage. As a father, you need a mentor. As a businessman, you need a mentor. As an entertainer, you need a mentor, because it's, you know, with one of the hardest lessons I'm learning now is that, you know, what Jimmy Fox spoke about, the yin and yang. You know, with success, there's darkness that rises next to it. You know, so you need people that can balance you, and that you need people that can be there for you when there's a lot of darkness and when there's a lot of light. And it's not easy to find people like that.
And how do you balance work and family? I like to ask this because you are a family man, and I see that you are raised. Yeah.
So, you know, before I had a family, it was all work, you know. And then, you know, we started dating with my wife. I remember I bought her a TV so that she can watch TV while I work. and then the kids came. So now I'm at a point where I'm like, you know what? When I have a definite time where I work. So, you know, I work from morning till 6 o'clock. And by 6, I'm done with work. I don't bring my work home. I don't do anything. It's just kids and family. Because look, whatever. No, it doesn't matter how much you work. The next day there'll still be work to do. That's the reality. Yeah.
And that's why that's important, man. You know, and one of the questions. The reason why I also asked you about mentorship is that a couple of weeks ago you went with, or you were invited by my nephew. No, not Mr. Morobe. Mr. Morobe, I know Mr. Morobe as well.
Oh, yes,
So yeah, but my nephew, Dizo.
oh yeah. So yes,
That's
yes.
my nephew. To come
Yeah.
and talk.
Oh,
Yeah, to come
amazing
and
guy.
talk to the kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I say, um, it hasn't been about looking for mentors, but it's been about the people you meet along the way. People like Diesel. Um, we inspire each other. That's the important, and those are people that they're valuable to keep in your cycle. I don't think I wouldn't. I also don't want to be looked at as a mentor, but I want to be looked at as somebody who can support the other person, because we all need each other to lean on. So I think when you strive for goodness, people see that in you, and they want to be better because of you, or they want to be better with you.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking, is because I know the kids that you guys talk to, that you inspired, that you imparted wisdom, they're not going to forget that.
Yes, and that's actually that's where it comes from. That's why I also decided to go to schools, because I said to myself, when I was in school, I've never had an actor come to my school, and had that actor came, it would have been a day I was never going to forget. So, and that's the conversation I had with Dijon. I'm like, look, it might not mean that much to us, but this kids, it means a lot to them. It means a lot to them. So if it's something that they can think about 10 years later, I'm hoping 10 years later, I can get a message from someone saying, hey, you once came to my school, look where I am, so I know it means a lot to them. And while we are prominent, this is the best thing to do, and those kids don't have to pay anything to see us or to hear from us.
Right. And how do you define leadership? Or what is your idea of leadership?
Yeah. This is where my humility comes in.
Okay.
Because I don't think there's anyone perfect to say, look, I'm the best person at what I do and everybody has to follow. I think even as a leader, if you are in that position, you need to find a way to learn from the people you are leading. So that's the important thing. As a leader, you need to be open to learning, and you need to be open to hearing what your teammates have to bring, to contribute. You see, so that's the important thing. People think leadership is about, it's my word. What I say is right. You all listen to what I say. You live by my principles.
Right.
But people's principles change. Even leaders learn lessons along the way. That principles change, that rules change. So so you need to be a leader that can obviously try to be the strongest, but allow people to contribute and maybe just be good at picking out a good team, which is not always it's by luck to get a good team, to put together a great team, whether it's in production or it's the president in parliament. It's not easy picking up the best team.
Right. Your last word, man. Message of hope.
Well, first of all, I want to say again, thank you for inviting me to this platform. And I think what we need now is a lot of platforms like this. A lot of people need guidance. A lot of people need advice. So I think, just based on that, I'm happy to have given my 2 cents on whatever subject matter, and I hope it will inspire a lot of people. And I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more people come forward and talk about our challenges and what's the best way of being successful in the next chapter.
Maxwell, thank you, my brother.
I appreciate you. Thanks.
I wish you all the best, man. I believe in you. I think there's a lot of greatness in you.